Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for The Pitt, Season 2, Episode 1. We are now back in the hospital with Dr. Robby. This show ended up being a complete surprise. It was one of the best shows of the year last year. I think a lot of us, we were looking forward to it, but we had no idea it was going to be that a phenomenon. And now we're here with this next 15-hour shift in the hospital, which is set all around the 4th of July. We kind of know it's probably going from bad to worse, guys. You just have to be prepared.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like last season, we covered this over on our Patreon for our Patreons, and you can check that out, of course. We'll leave a link for you below. But yeah, we didn't know what to expect. Like, full disclosure, medical dramas in general, I'm just kind of like, And then this show showed up where I was like, just completely involved down the hole with this cast. I loved it so much. I couldn't wait week to week to watch this show, and watching it like ramp up and ramp up and ramp up the way that it did to where we got to that, like those final hours where everything was breaking loose at the hospital and it was just chaos.
Yeah.
I do not know how they top that in season 2. It is July the 4th that we're looking at here. But like, is it going to be any crazier than what we already saw? Or is the show going to go in a little bit of a different direction?
I'm very excited because I feel like they're going to do at least a few things to surprise us. They know how beloved season 1 was. I don't think they're going to try to repeat themselves in any way, shape, or form with that. I do think this episode, it set the table really, really well. We have some new faces. We've got a lot of established people coming back, but we also have these questions because we're only seeing one day in the life of all of these doctors. So we've got all this missed time for Robby, Langdon, Santos, all these other people in the hospital. We kind of have to figure out how they got from point A to point B. And so there's a little bit of a fun mystery that goes along with that. And yeah, there are some things I'm admittedly worried a little bit about with this season, including the Dr. Al storyline that we'll get into. But there's some other things I'm really, really excited about, like diving into trauma, like diving into these relationships, and just I'm so grateful that HBO Max only gave us one episode to kick things off.
Oh my goodness. So many platforms are now throwing out 2 and 3 episodes all at once to allow people to binge a little bit and, get involved. We're already involved. We had 15 episodes last season. We are completely involved. We are seated. We are ready. Thank you for only doing one. Let's have a nice long... It's been a long time since we've had a show that's like 15 episodes and every single one is a banger.
I know. Episode 3 in particular, it's random to just say one episode of a show but episode 3 last season is one of my favorite episodes of last year. I'm so eager to see what they do moving forward. We're going to get into, of course, everything in the premiere, breaking things down, theorizing on what is going to be coming. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we will be here throughout all of the Pit talking about all the great things with this show. But also, if you guys have subscribed to HBO Max, you're going to be able to watch A Night of the Seven Kingdoms as well as Industry Season 4. They are both premiering this month. We are going to be here breaking down those shows as well.
Absolutely. And for our members here at the channel, we have opened up our memberships here. Thank you for everyone who was asking about that.
Yeah.
We decided to go ahead and do that. And we are going to be covering Hijack, which is starting up next week, season 2 on Apple TV.
Yes.
It is a favorite of ours and especially a favorite of Matt's.
I love it.
And it will be available to our members here at the channel. So thank you so much to everyone who is helping to support us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. We're very grateful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to start here from the beginning because we need to have a discussion about Helmet Gate. This is the subject that has gone on ever since the trailer was released. And there's been people talking about why isn't Robby wearing his helmet? He's obviously a doctor. He knows better. The thing that really struck me more than anything else was, okay, he's not wearing it when he's going to the hospital, but then when he gets there, you see that he does have a helmet. He walks in, the helmet is attached to him. So this is somebody who, despite being a doctor and knowing he's probably treated, I don't know, hundreds of people with various head injuries at this point in his life.
Absolutely. I'm a former funeral director. I can't tell you the number of people who have ended up on my table from motorcycle accidents, wearing helmets.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he was going, without this helmet, I didn't really understand it, especially since he had one. And tinfoil hat, the only thing I could think of was that the show wanted to show Noah's face, to have him riding in this motorcycle. And they're like, he's our star. We have to have Robby and we have to see his face. So he can't be wearing a helmet. That's where I feel like it had to have gone.
I'm going to say that this is something that's going to be paid off eventually. It may be directly, it may be indirectly. I feel like this is a breadcrumb to sort of show us Robby's not doing that great. I'm not sitting here and being like, okay, Robby wants, I don't know, a semi truck to come and take him out. I'm not going that dark, but I am saying that he's being a little bit reckless, and this is meant to be symbolic. That is he being reckless in some way with his life outside of the hospital? We don't know anything really about him.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is, last season we saw him up on the roof and he wasn't doing that well with everything that happened with Dr. Adams and losing him. And then later, everything that happened at the end of last season where
Yes.
everyone was coming in from Pitt Fest and it was just getting so chaotic. Even what happened with Langdon under his own nose, something that probably really hurt him, that someone that he trusted and helped bring up would do something like this. I think just all of these things compounded is why he's taking this sabbatical and maybe why he's being a little more reckless with himself. I mean, it's a lot of things that have all come up at one time. And maybe after Pit Fest, he was like, maybe I can handle it. Maybe I can get through with some of it. But I mean, we saw him last season, like just sobbing through that whole shift. It was so hard on him. Like, he needs a sabbatical. Just take your time, Robby. We'll be waiting.
He needs his time. I better see him wear that helmet at the end of this season. I'm going to say that right now. If the closing scene is him riding away wearing the helmet, I will be like, okay, good job, Robby. You're ready for your sabbatical now. You're not willing to let something happen to you on the way of it. But yeah, you bring up the sabbatical, and that is a big undercurrent through a lot of this episode, is that while it's, Langdon's first day back, it's also Robby's last day before leaving. And it just so happens to fall on July 4th, which is a time when there's a lot of accidents that are happening. And so Robby has made this decision. Why is it happening now? It's probably what you mapped out. This is probably a situation where, unless there's something else really drastic that's happened in these last 10 months that we don't know about yet, it does feel pretty cumulative. I can never say cumulatively. I still can't do it, guys. I can do many things in life. Cumulative is not a word I can say, but it does feel like it's a combination of all these different things that are being stirred together, because this show tries to be realistic, and if you're in this state of mind, it's often due to a compounding effect.
Yeah, and I mean, the show has revealed to us all these different things that have been happening to Robby. Everything that happened with Adams was something that was like weighing on him, and for a long time, it was like a full year weighing on him. Then he comes back, and this is the shift that he's back on, where it's like everything is going sideways with Pit Fest and Langdon and all these different things, and he's really not able to hold himself together properly. And I think because there's like this 10-month jump, some people are probably gonna be out there being like, well, why didn't he just take a sabbatical right away after all that? Well, the reason is probably because he's a chief of staff, right? So this is not a position that's easily filled. It probably needed a little bit of time. He maybe needed time. He may have been like, I'm fine. And then maybe 5 or 6 months in being like, okay, you know what? I'm actually not fine. I'm going to take these 3 months. You need to find somebody. And it took time for this person to be able to come in, Dr. Al.
This does bring us to the part of the season I'm the most worried about, and it is Dr. Al by far, just because this is such a trope, guys. Let's bring in someone new who has their own way of doing things. They're gonna shake things up and cause some people to argue. We've seen this time and time again. Now, the good thing for the Pit is that, yeah, they did a ton of things in season one that we've seen time and time again. The
Yeah.
truth is, when you're a medical show, how do you do something that Grey's Anatomy, Chicago Med, ER that Noah was on? Like, how do you do these things that none of these other shows have done before? You just have to find a way to reinvent them, to make them gritty, interesting, to really play around in the moment. And what maybe gives me a little bit of comfort with the Dr. Al storyline is that while, yes, she's been brought in as a foil in some ways, a lot of times these foil characters have a dark, twisted secret, or they're not as they seem. I think she probably is as she seems. And I think that her ideas in her mind as to how to help the hospital, they're probably good. They just don't mesh with Robby, and there's a natural friction that comes from that.
I think for me, I was hoping that if they were going to go down this road, which they are
Mhm.
with this trope of in comes this next person who's going to be taking over Robbie's job for 3 months, oh, I'm going to, change this and change that. I'm just kind of sitting back being like, well, why are you changing this and changing
Mhm.
that? This isn't a permanent job for you. You are only coming in for 3 months. And while you can change a couple things, she's getting right into things that are like that itch you shouldn't scratch. Like, oh, you know what? While you're gone, we're not calling this the pit anymore. I'm like, why? What does that matter to you? You
Yeah.
aren't going to be continuing this job. Why would you take something away from the other chief of staff right when he's going out the door? That doesn't mean anything to you. That doesn't change anything with the hospital. That doesn't actually make it function better or worse. It doesn't do anything except you're just exercising your power over him for a job you are temporary in.
It doesn't affect patients one way or another. That's the part of it.
No.
It's sort of like you're a firefighter and you decide, okay, I'm going to go in the fire truck. I'm going to go and stop some fires here for a day. And then you get called out to the scene and you go and you put water on a tree that's not actively on fire. It's just sitting back and thinking, this is not doing anything. Maybe you're comforting them that, oh, maybe this tree won't catch fire now, but it's
Yeah.
still focus on the actual issue that's in front of you. That was designed in a way to make us not really like her.
Yeah, it felt like the way that they could have made this more powerful and actually work, where she's a real foil that sticks with
Mhm.
all of this, is that she wasn't replacing Robbie, but she was replacing like the chief of staff for the night shift, whoever, that would be Jack, whoever it is.
Yeah.
That it's going to be someone where he's going to have to continue working with them. Yeah, he's going on a sabbatical. Someone's going to replace him, no problem. But now you have a bigger problem. You have somebody who's actually going to be changing things, and she's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's the weakest part of this episode, in my opinion. I think once you get into everything else, though, that's when the good times are rolling in. And it's weird to say good times with the show that is this intense, but everything, I think, with Robby and Langdon and their relationship, like, this is just outstanding and deep and complicated and messy.
It is really messy because I understand, Robbie. I
Yeah.
understand where you're coming from. You feel really betrayed. Langdon is somebody that you were helping come up and teaching, and you really believed in him, and you guys are really working together. And he did this thing that he shouldn't have been doing, and it was really, really bad. Absolutely. But it's been 10 months now. Langdon has gotten help for this problem. He
Mhm.
is back. He is sober. He is doing well. He's trying to make things right with everybody. Even seeing him sitting down with Louis and being like, hey, I did this thing to you. He didn't have to do that. If you want to have another doctor, I completely understand.
Mhm.
No, it's okay. You're really honest with me. And that's what I want. I want an honest doctor. Great. We all make mistakes. We all get into trouble. And it's great that you were able to get out of it. Why is Robby being so hard on him, unable to forgive him, trying to like avoid him at every turn? What's the deeper story here, tinfoil hat?
Okay.
Matt?
I feel like, and this is another brilliant thing about the pit, they don't spend a lot of time with backstory. I feel honestly like Robby has probably had someone, a family member, a close friend who has gone through something as serious as what Langdon has before. And maybe they did come out the other side sober, but then they fell back into something or they had some other problem. And there's something that's unexplored with him that he's not able to get past it because of this. And seeing Langdon maybe bringing back all of these memories of his past. And so not everything that's happening with Langdon then is because of Langdon. It's just because Robby doesn't trust it because he's experienced this before. This is a guy who presumably has lived a lot of life, and he's probably been hurt
Mhm.
by people for this reason or another reason. It's clear that there is a major trust issue here still, and it has to either be something because of his past or
Yes.
just from a medical perspective for whatever reason, despite him being cleared, he just doesn't trust him, but that's just not as deep.
Yeah, it could be that. It could also be a bit of ego with Robbie to
Mhm.
be like, this was going on under my nose. I didn't see it. He was taking advantage of, you know, patients plus myself plus everybody, made him look like a clown. It could be ego. Yeah, it's not as deep, but it's definitely a realistic story. My tinfoil hat
Mhm.
is Robbie has dealt with something like this himself in his
Mhm.
past. You bring up the helmet,
Yeah.
he's being a little reckless, tells me that maybe in his past, maybe when he was in his fourth year or whatever, around the same time, he did something similar but didn't get caught for it and ended up pulling himself out of it. So it's something that then has gone under his nose and he's extra mad about it because it's bringing him to a mirror of himself to be like, look at yourself. This happened to you and you got away with it. It's happened to Langdon and he didn't get away with it. And now you're making him pay extra because you're making him pay for yourself.
It kind of feels like unexplored guilt could be a major theme for this season, and
Yeah.
that could be the case for Robbie. I mean, we're seeing with Langdon him going directly to one of his patients and admitting,
Yeah. Louis, I
I
couldn't believe
yeah,
it.
I did this to you, Louis. I'm really sorry. And Louis lets him off the hook really, really easy. And I
Yes.
think Langdon struggles with that because I think he feels like you should be mad at me. I did something that was really unethical, really terrible. And so he's kind of stuck between this middle ground of someone in Robbie who just won't forgive him, won't trust him, is not letting him do anything. And then he's got this patient who's just like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. It's no big problem. I think him not finding someone being like, yeah, what you did was wrong. We're going to get past it. I still want to be treated by you. Like, that's the thing that would probably make him feel better to put him on a road to actual healing.
Watching Langdon's fire dimmed like this and
Mhm.
coming in without any confidence, it was really hard to watch. I mean, I haven't seen this actor before this
Mhm.
show. He's so
I
good.
know.
Like watching him in the first season with such confidence going through this. He's right about a lot of stuff. He's a very, very good doctor. To watch him come in now, like so broken down, he's gone through a lot to be able to come back and try to rebuild like this. Man, it's a good story.
It's a really good story. And I don't know why I'm sitting here talking so much about costuming. I mean, shout out costume designer for the Pit. But even
Yeah.
the outfit he's wearing when he comes in, he's wearing a baseball cap. He's in
Yeah.
the waiting room. He looks very nondescript. And like, he's a very handsome man. And it feels like in season one, I'm not sitting here being like, oh, look, Dr. Langdon's talking about how handsome he is. But it felt like there was just more confidence with himself, how he carried himself, how he
Yes.
dressed, like all these
Yes.
little things that were immediately present with him versus now at the start of this season, it just felt like he didn't want anyone to even see him.
Okay, let's talk about the part of the story I'm really struggling with, and it is Dr. Mel, who is my favorite character on this show. I absolutely love her. I've said this before, she reminds me of my cousin Julie so much. Just smart, not always sure of herself, even though she should be because she's great.
Mhm.
Like I just absolutely love her. And it feels like her light is also dim. She is definitely having a struggle right now because there's a suit and she's part of it where she's really worried about, you know, the legal ramifications of what's going to happen to her in
Yeah.
this suit. And it's just like, it's very hard to watch because we're in such a dark space in the ER. It is
Yeah.
very hard. There's a lot of terrible things that are happening here. You know, yeah, there's a couple of more, you know, funny moments like last
Mhm.
season with the rats or whatever. But she is the hope of this hospital. So every time I see her, even if something horrible is happening, she's finding a way to shine a light on it in a way that I don't think happens at a hospital, in a way that I think should happen at a hospital. There's just something really special about that I don't see on medical shows, and I would like to see more of. And now that her light is dimmed, I'm looking around the hospital being like, where is that going to come from? I hope that this is wrapped up hour 2 or hour 3 where it's like she's off the hook and she's feeling better.
I hope so, because it feels like this is once again unresolved guilt, because we don't know everything about this suit as of yet. And
Right.
like she might be struggling with something that she could not have done anything better with. It's something we don't know who brought this, what their
Right.
complaint was. There's a lot of finer details, but you can sort of see her process of dealing with this. She's kind of penduluming back and forth. And I understand this because I do this sometimes too, where you act really broken down, but then at the other point, you're like, oh, Dr. Langdon's here. I'm going to make some sort of big show, or it'll be a little bit quirky or over the top because you don't know how to process your emotions. I
Yes.
saw a little bit of that in her as well in this episode. And yeah, it's really, really sad. I'm also sitting here and kind of being like, okay, where can I get some hope? And this is where I'm going to turn to my favorite character on the show, Dr. Whitaker, the prince who was promised. I mean, look at you growing out your hair. You're looking good. It seems like you,
Confidence. I love
yeah,
his confidence. I mean, he's grown so much as a doctor in such a short amount of time.
yeah,
Obviously, what happened last season really stuck with him, and he learned a lot in a short amount of time.
yeah.
And he's really matured into his role. I absolutely, man, the growth of this character has been 10 out of 10. It's one
Yes.
episode this season, and I'm already like, yes, King.
It is, they've done such a perfect job because they made him much more confident in his job, but they
Yeah.
also still touched on his roommate
Yes.
situation. Nothing is that perfect for him personally. So it's not like he's gone through this complete and utter transformation in all aspect of his lives. It's just that he's somebody who didn't really know what he was doing when he came in
Yeah.
from a very middle of nowhere place. He's finding it, he's gaining confidence, he's learning this is my way. I want to do things. I'm willing to vocalize this to other people. I'm not just running around having, messes made on my scrubs anymore. I'm actually in a spot where this hospital really, truly needs me.
Now, here's the thing that I really like that they've done as well. They still have Victoria and Santos that are in the same spots that they were last
Yes.
season, that not everybody has gone through some huge change. It's only 10 months, and not everybody's going through big life changes or huge things in such a short amount of time. Santos is still out here calling people crash and being the
Yeah.
same, and nothing has changed. And then, the same thing is happening with Victoria as well. Her mom is still like, why aren't you in surgery? And she's
Yeah.
like, leave me alone. I'm doing what I want. Like, some of the same things are still happening, which is really what holds the footing of this show is realistic.
Yeah, not everybody's going to change over 10 months.
No,
Like, I don't personally like Santos, but that's kind of the point.
no.
There are people in life who are annoying, and they're meant to be annoying and arrogant and over the top. And yeah, it 100% makes sense that there would be a doctor like this, because there are doctors like this. We've all probably met one of them who feels like they know everything. Their diagnoses are never wrong, and if you don't listen to them, you're the problem.
I'm really glad to see Dana back.
I know, I know.
I was really worried she was leaving. For all of you who are wondering where Collins is, she actually has left the
Yeah.
show. She is not coming back this season, and they haven't talked about it at all, which makes sense. It's
Yes,
10 months later.
for
They
sure.
wouldn't be talking about it. But Dana being here still, I mean, like, I was really worried last season when she was like, I can't take it anymore. I was like, please,
I am
no.
thrilled. I'm also
Yeah.
thrilled that she has her own storyline that's sort of saying,
Yeah.
nurses, we have a job here too. And this is something we're
Yes.
going to explore. We've got this new person coming in
Yes.
from middle of nowhere, Sault Ste. Marie, doesn't really know. This is kind of the, I guess, surrogate Whitaker in some ways, a
Mhm.
person who has to get used to this environment. But now we're going to see it play out through the side of a nurse. And I hope this shows more of Dana's side of how she cares for people, how she goes through her own process, and is in another situation where something really terrible happens to her and then she ends up almost quitting her job
Oh
again.
my God. No, we can't lose Dana. I really love Dana.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this baby because
Okay,
that
I
really
know.
is the big question at the end of this episode, who was like left in a restroom. They don't know what to do. They're trying to figure out, if they're under 28 days, we can do this. Over 28 days, we have to go about it this way. They do some like blood tests or whatever, and they come back. And, we've got one person looking at it being like, oh, okay, here they are, whatever. And then Dr. Al is looking at it and she's just like lost all the blood from her face, like she just saw a ghost.
My feeling is that she's found a way, and once again, I'm not a doctor, but it feels like, are there tests that help you determine exactly how old somebody is? Like, is this a situation where this baby's just a couple of days too old? Because then that gets into the bureaucracy and the nonsense with the medical system. That's
Right.
like, in what universe is it okay for this baby to not get the full treatment just because, they're a couple of days
Right.
too old? How messed up is that? And it feels like that's something that would then probably bring Dr. Allen and sort of make her feel like, do I smudge the record some way? Do I not? How by the
Yeah.
book do I want to be with some of this? And I could understand her having a certain look on her face if that's actually what this result is all about.
Yeah, and from what we know about Dr. Al, she does seem to be not only very by the book, but very like controlling in that way. She came in the night before
Yeah.
Robby was there to start setting down her own roots instead of coming in and just working with Robby to kind of like work together to see how it's going to happen or how it's going to work out. And she's got, people working on test dummies again where they're already past that in life.
Yeah.
Or, Robby tries to get them to answer their own questions to see where they are knowledge wise, get them thinking ahead, and she's just giving them the answers. So she does feel very controlling by the book. She wants things done a certain way. So she may be seeing that and being like, oh man, her heart is just breaking because they're a little bit too old. But I don't know if that is a test that you can get from blood tests.
I have no idea. And I'm sure somebody will tell us in the comments. It just feels like to
Please
me,
do.
the good news is that we're probably getting an answer to this right away in the next episode. I mean, they're not going to show us something like that as a cliffhanger and then just not give us her perspective moving forward. That is one of the good things about this show. It's a direct payoff. One episode to the next, things are just constantly going to evolve.
This show does not hold back on that.
No.
They do not drag things out. That is why this is easily the best medical show out there ever. Like, it really is. So many medical shows are just filled with useless dragging out of
Yes.
storylines, or even patient storylines where I'm like, I don't really care. It's the same thing over
I
and
know.
over and over again. They don't do that with this show at all. They never did
No.
last season. So I feel confident, they're going to wrap this up as pretty quick.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of stuff we can be really excited about beyond just that. It seems like Mohan's getting a little bit more of a story, which
Yeah.
is great. I feel like Mohan is one of the best underused characters on
Yes.
this show. My guy, Sean, he's coming back. Jack Abbott at some point. We don't know exactly when, but he will be there. So look forward to that. And that is where we are coming out of the season 2 premiere of The Pitt. What do you guys think about what we saw? Where do you think things are going? Let us know in the comments. And of course, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything else. And as just mentioned earlier, we will be covering for members here on YouTube. Hi, Jack. We're so excited for that.
gonna be
Please,
so
we're really
good.
grateful to everyone who joins us there. Thank you so much. We'll see you here next time.